A blessed good evening to you, Mutabaruka.
Blessed man.
Yes, divine one.
Man.
So, yes, I am giving thanks and praises to the divine for this moment, just being able to speak to you directly.
Yeah.
Yes, my beloved. So, Mutabaruka, I am just feeling a divine space of anointment in this moment to say to you, I have been hearing the controversy in Jamaica around Sizzla and his appointment to the leadership role in Rastafari.
To the leadership role in the Nyabinghi Theocratic House.
Yes. Yes. And, you know, Mutabaruka, I am hearing the many criticisms that the Rastafarians have for Sizzla. And as I'm listening to the many criticism, I am feeling deeply that in the unrighteousness of any human, there is no other worthy of judging. And in the goodness, there is also no one qualified to judge. And
hold on. Me understand what you're saying, Bridget. What you say? What I mean, no, if a man do something wrong, you can't say him wrong.
No,
if a man a thief continuously, you can't say him is a thief.
What we're saying, Muta, is that at this given juncture of our evolution, even the thief, even the murderer, when we look at unrighteousness in whatever form or shape it takes on, we're saying we need to use the spirit of discernment other than the spirit of judgment. And in the nature of Rastafari, as a people, we just want to put it out there, Mutabaruka, that we want to allow the space for growth. And whatever pathway that Sizzla is on, I would love to declare tonight, non-apologetically, saying, let the spirit of Sizzla be anointed by the gifts of appreciation coming from whoever it is. There is enough good in Sizzla for us to appreciate. And there is a love that I am speaking of in Sizzla for Rastafari. In my observation, hearing him from the beginning to now, and whatever path that he has walked on that people could judge him. I am only saying that there is a love that he has for Rasta, for black people, for black Africa, and he needs the support. I find it to be extremely courageous that with all the members of the movement in Nyabinghi, young and old, that he should take the stand that he has taken, and whatever critical voice that we have for him, we need to allow the space to give more support than tearing down. And in wherever Sizzla is tonight, and whatever support system that he has received, I am just putting it out there that whoever is listening in the name of Rastafari, whether you like Sizzla or not, Sizzla has taken a stand as a youth in the empowerment of Haile Selassie I, in the empowerment of King Emmanuel, in the empowerment.
So what to the other people them who did stand up there so in the empowerment of Haile Selassie? The same people them who him now declares him at defunct.
We are saying now.
No, who is we? May I say what to the people them who was there before? who have the authority before him did come there.
Okay.
The executives of the Nyabingi Council. What happened to them people there?
Okay. Now, Muta, let us look at the elders before Sizzler.
We're not talking about elders before Sizzler. No, we are talking about the people them who Sizzler declared null and void. The CEO, the administration, the council of the Millennium Council, all of them have been declared by Sizzler and him friend them as null and void. What to those people? What you saying about those people?
Let us continue to celebrate anyone that takes a stand for the progress of Rastafari. But what I want to put out there again, non-apologetically, Muta, is that Sizzler has been a force in the movement.
So these people who was there wasn't a force in the movement?
We're not saying that they were not a force in the movement.
So what you're saying? Because you're saying Sizzler is a force in the movement.
What saying?
What happened to the elders them who was the authority, the authority of the Nyabingi house? That now Sizzler come now and say
these elders, whoever they are,
yes,
or was, there is something about Sizzler.
Yes.
Now, there's something of Sizzler that is so potent here and now.
Brethren, I have heard you say that about many Rasta.
And what I've
heard you say, this is not the first Rasta I have heard you say there's something potent about these people. I am saying to you, what happened to the people them who Sizzler now declare null and void?
I am not sure of who Sizzler have declared null and void.
The ones them who him declared null and void were the ones who were legitimately elected by the Nyabingi Ada. Not a minority, but the Nyabingi, including the man them who vote for Sizzler. They also were the ones who vote for the ones them who now is declared by Sizzler null and void. Sizzler cannot make the Millennium Council. I am not a member of none of these things, but Sizzler cannot make the Millennium Council null and void because he is not a member of the Millennium Council. He don't have no authority to do that because the Millennium Council is made up of different organizations. He was made the president. He was made the president for one Rasta organization. So him cannot come around now and make all Rasta organization null and void.
Well, I am not aware of all.
Well, you have to be aware of it before you talk. You have to be aware of it before you talk.
Null and void. I am knowing that he is elected as the head of the Nyabingi movement.
And then him turn around and make every other thing null and void. He make the Nyabingi, he make the Millennium Council. You cannot have one organization, whether you feel that the organization is doing nothing or not doing anything. You cannot make the next organization null and void. Because the Millennium Council is an umbrella organization of 12 tribes, of Bobo, of Nyabingi. So you, as a head of one organization, cannot turn around and make other organizations null and void.
Well, he did not make and has not the authority to make the Bobo Shanti null and void.
No, I am talking about the Millennium Council. There is a report that is put out there by this new president that he has made the former council null and void of the Nyabingi house and also the Millennium Council. I am saying that the only way the Millennium Council can be null and void if a group of people, which is an umbrella, I couldn't be a member of the Millennium Council because I am just an individual that don't belong to the organization. So one man from one organization over there so can make the umbrella organization of Rasta null and void. Unless I'm going to take that up on him as a dictator.
Well, when you speak of a dictator in the movement...
Dictator meaning say, you're going to come now and say, this is that, this is that, this is that. You not have no relevance again. Me done with you. You over there, so you not have no more relevance. Me done with you, yes. So the relevance, yes, right now. This is it.
Well, the relevance of Rasta in Jamaica for so long, there is a stand that the Nyabingi movement has taken, and there's a stand that the Bobo Shanti have taken. It would seem as if some of the movement is somewhat null and void. It would seem as if the
what part of the movement is null and void?
I'm saying to you, Muta.
You said there's some part of the movement that is null and void. Well, what part of the movement is null and void?
I would be looking at aspect of, say, the Millennium Council as a movement.
All right. If the Millennium Council is null and void, you over there so cannot decide that. I can't decide that.
I am using the term probably.
Yeah, but no problem me I deal with brethren. Me I deal with something really as so now. Me I do no probability. You can't stay over Connecticut and tell me about probability. Me I tell you, say, you can't over there so and tell me, say, the Millennium Council is null and void.
I am not saying that.
You may not function. Yeah, but that is what Sizzla do. That is what Sizzla do. And the brethren, them who and Negos and all them, that's what they make them do. Them call the CEO and all of the administrator of the Nyabingi Council null and void. And them turn around and say the Millennium Council is null and void. By from what authority are they saying this thing? From one organization? If you want to create something in your organization and say, yeah, well, you don't want a president again, so you make that null and void. So you come now and you say, well, this are the president me want, or this are the secretary me want, or this are the treasurer me want. That is your thing. But then now, when you talk about now, the sum total of this thing, you, Sizzla can't go amongst the bobo them, go tell them, say, them can't allow this and them can't allow that.
No, well, Sizzla will not have the authority when it comes to the Bobo Shanti.
Yeah, well, that may I say, neither the 12 tribe.
I am looking at you and I am saying to you, there is aspect of the movement.
Yes.
Such as the Millennium Council at the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
And it would seem as if the Bobo Shanti and the Nyabingi at this given juncture seems to be the most stable, functional aspect of the movement.
By what authority you say that?
I am only speaking within observation. Maybe
what you observe, it's make you say that. That may I ask you, what you observe make you say that?
Observing how the 12 tribes of Israel and their potency in years past, the active flow of their movement in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I am not sure whether they have their monthly gatherings the way they used to. I'm not sure if they have the kind of organizational, administrative quality as it used to be in the 70s and probably.
Well, obviously, them do have that potency. But when I said to you, a man over there so who belong to a next organization can't come decide the 12 tribe have no authority against him about defunct it.
I thought Sizzla was anointed by 12 tribes and
nobody,
by Millennium Council and by Nyabingi and by a few Bobo Shantis.
Look here. That's what I'm saying to you. That you can't still over connect the cut this or now and decide we are going over here. So I had said to you that the sister named Esther, when it was said that Sizzla is the, I know, you know, so the first I ever mentioned this pan no program at all. When it come out say Sizzla is the head of Rasta, which is that go around. Esther come on the radio and say, no one authorized Sizzla to be the head of Bobo. All right. It was said that Sizzla was coronated as the head of Rasta. Well, I hear Sizzla upon the radio clarify it and say him is the president of the Nyabingi house. Right? So that is a one house of many houses of Rasta. Him never say him is the head of 12 tribe. Him never say him is the head of the Bobo. Him say him is the president of the Nyabingi house.
Okay.
All right. So, whether him did say him is the head of Rasta before, what I hear with my ears on the radio, him say him is the head, him was made the president of the Nyabingi house. Now, if you is not a part of the Nyabingi house, unless him is going to turn round the corner, and declare now, say, since him is the head of the Nyabingi house, him is the head of Rasta, then no is a problem. Because him never said that. Him never said him is the head of Rasta. Him say him is the president of the Nyabingi house. Now, if there's some underlying thing a go on where nobody knows, where Sizzla say, yeah, me is the head of the Nyabingi house, that makes me the head of Rasta. Some people in the Nyabingi house say, well, if him is the head of the Nyabingi house, him is the head of Rasta, then it's a serious problem. Because the both of them don't think that. And most Rasta don't give to that. Now, one is saying that if Sizzla can do what him is doing, make him do it. But you see, me personally now, I cannot stand here and say Sizzla is the head of Rasta. And then now say, it's like I got now call upon some divine madness to come say divine this and divine that. Because even you, I have heard you said these things, but many youth when me see rise up about these things. And then in the bottom line of it, you get the disappointment strike in. So I am not in the euphoria of people rising up and saying that, and then now the bottom line is the bottom line.
Well, maybe Sizzla needs a support system.
But Sizzla get support system. They them not get support system. He might get support system from the people them who elect him. He might get support from the state. I hear Sizzla said there's no fundamental difference between Bobo and 12 tribe. And I say, how the youth can stand up and say that? Because I never usually say nothing about it, you know. How the youth can say there's no fundamental difference when Prince Emmanuel is the God, the Black Christ.
We're King Emmanuel, please, appropriately, King Emmanuel. And I speak right now in the authority of King Emmanuel to say, Sizzla could not make the statement that Bobo Shanti and Nyabingi comes from the same root in the nature of King Emmanuel. Because King Emmanuel has developed an order and a perfect order that if Sizzla is anointed and appointed as a Rasta, Bobo Shanti, then I cannot see Sizzla making a comparison of the Bobo Shanti and the Nyabingi.
There is a whole heap of fundamental difference between the Nyabingi and the Bobo. Simple. There's one of the main fundamental difference is that the Bobo them say Prince Emmanuel is the Almighty, the Black Christ in flesh. There's no Nyabingi man going to say that. No Nyabingi man going to say that. So that is a big fundamental difference. So
and also,
him can't come on the radio and say that. I mean, him say it, but it is not true. You see, it is not true. There's a big fundamental difference there. Prince Emmanuel is not the Almighty God to the Nyabingi man.
King Emmanuel, for the Bobo Shanti, hold an order, and that order, the Bobo Shanti lives a principle, lives a dignity in the Rastafari movement that is par excellence. And King Emmanuel as a model, if Sizzla is walking in the footstep of King Emmanuel, he is doing excellent.
For you know Sizzla as walking in the footstep of Prince Emmanuel.
You know, Mutabaruka, I know Sizzla to take a stand.
No, that is one quick bridging. Me not talk no judgment, you know. You talk all these things about Prince Emmanuel. I ask you if you know Sizzla as a man who's walking in the footsteps of Prince Emmanuel.
I am not one to judge.
I mean, not that you say, but a judge, it's not a judgment. It's not a judgment, because you bring up the walking footsteps, you know. It's you just to say, walking in the footsteps of somebody else. I never talk about it. I never mention it. You are mentioning it.
I use the term, if Sizzla is walking in the footstep of King Emmanuel.
What is the footsteps you talk about? Tell me what is the footsteps.
The bylaws that King Emmanuel have laid down.
Like what? Like what?
Africa for the Africans.
That is a walking. If you say that, you're walking in the footsteps. Because every Pan-Africanist, Marcus Garvey man, say Africa for Africans.
It's not just talking, Muta. It's working.
Yes.
So, Sizzla,
yes,
I am not to judge Sizzla's work.
Okay.
And knowing that Sizzla has space to grow.
Yes.
And to perfect his being, and to purify his being, and to sanctify his being, I would love the space, the platform for that to happen. And I feel deeply that holding a post of such authority, you must be very careful with the responsibility, because leadership comes with accountability. And so I do not see Sizzla as someone taking on this responsibility, this authority, and walking in ungodliness, walking in the path of impurities. And
what you call impurities? What you call impurities? Ungodliness and all this. What you call ungodliness and impurities? Walking in, like what? Like what you call so? I mean, you know, I hear these terminologies, walking in impurities, walking in ungodliness. What you call that? What is that?
There is a state of uprightness.
Impurities, uprightness, and godliness are the same word.
If you're walking in the state of truth.
What is that, brethren? What is that? What is godliness? What is truth? What is uprightness? What is all of these things you're saying him should walk in or grow in? What is that? What is it?
If we want to eliminate the word godliness
or uprightness, what is the uprightness then?
I would be looking at the uprightness of Sizzla being right now, taking a stand to wipe away the bondage of white supremacy upon the psyche of black people. Looking at black Africa and wanting this place which is called Black Africa in your heart, in your way of life.
And Rasta not have that.
Which is called Black Africa in your heart, in your way of life.
And Rasta not have that. In them heart and in them life.
There is a space in Rastafari that speak of this pathway. And the livity of Rastafari represents that pathway. And if the livity of Rastafari that represents the upliftment and the redemption for black Africa and for black people globally, this pathway, this is what we called, lack of a better term, a godliness. This is what we call an uprightness. And there is a place in Rasta that holds that. And now I feel deeply that Sizzla have this yearning within his being to see a fulfillment.
Obviously.
Of this walk.
Obviously, him have that yearning.
Talk. And deeply, he has to be admired. And also, the only thing I want to put out to Sizzla, if Sizzla is listening, is to know deeply within his being that in black Africa, what we're used to is Queen Mother's anointing man to become king, chiefs.
Yeah, well, that not happening in Rasta. So you can't just nobody even talk about that. That not happening in Rasta.
Well,
Rasta get elected by a democratic process with a man or woman involved in it. As a matter of fact, the CEO of the Nyabinghi before Sizzla come was a woman.
And now that Sizzla is there, it would feel as if more women will have more active role and more.
Why you say that? Why you give you the impression that will happen?
Because Sizzla,
What is it
deeply, if you listen to Sizzla music from an earlier stand.
Yeah, but we hear them, brethren. All right. Like what? Like Black Woman and Child?
Yes, there is a depth in Sizzla and a space in Sizzla.
They don't see that depth in a most reggae artist, brethren. Sizzla is a genuine youth, you know. Sizzla is a genuine Rasta youth who really mean to do something. But when you start talking about now, if you look upon the music, I mean, artists sing music, brethren.
Yes, and Sizzla did not come into Rasta and reggae music out with a negative intention.
No one come in a Rasta with a negative intention. I don't know if no one come in with negative intention.
He came with a positive force.
Yeah.
And that force that he came with enlightened and empowered
a whole heap of ones.
Millions of people.
Whole heap of ones, yeah.
And we feel deeply that most people are judging Sizzla from a dancehall stand.
Why them shouldn't judge Sizzla from a dancehall stand?
Because
if you over here start sing according to you, if you over here start sing in a reggae music, a thing where you'd call righteousness, and then over here so now you sing decadence, why a man shouldn't wait? Why them shouldn't wait? I put that out to you, you know.
You can weigh it, Muta.
Yeah,
but weighing it, there is an aspect of the dancehall world that is just a sense of entertainment.
So you don't forget about the part there him then?
I would say that should not be the criteria by which one judges him.
But when I talk about judgment, why if a man listen to a righteous man sing something that is deemed decadent, why is it that you shouldn't rethink your stand and or you see him or you view him? Why is it?
Because
like if me start make some poetry about this and this and this and this and that, why is it that a man shouldn't start say blood bad? Muta say them thing the Rasta. I never expect Muta to say them something there. No, that's disappointing. Why a man shouldn't say that? Why them shouldn't say that?
Well, you can say it. If
but
you,
what?
If
but
you
shouldn't bother. You must figure it. You must bother.
You should use that to limit Muta or to limit Sizzla or to limit anyone.
No, oh, you mean not limit? Watch your brethren. You ever hear Vybz Kartel song them? You ever listen to any of Vybz Kartel song them?
I have listened to aspect of his music.
When you have Vybz Kartel songs, when you listen to them, you can hear a youth a cry out for ghetto youth in the song them. So why shouldn't I now look and say, yeah, him sing all of them nastiness and thing, but him have some conscious music. He's a conscious youth. Why I shouldn't do that?
Well, you can do that if you want to, but still, I would say you cannot judge the completeness of the being because of the music.
No, but when the being you mean? Then the music you are used to say him righteous. And the music you are using him, you have to say him righteous, you know.
I am not using the music.
You are using music for judge.
I am not.
No, you are using music as a criteria for its representation.
I'm not using Sizzla's music.
Yeah, because you just said that he used the music to convert millions. That is what you say.
Well, I said he used the music and aspect of his music
converted a millions. Yes.
Empowered many.
Just like another artist could have used the music negatively for empower many, but yet still in that empowerment of negativity or positivity, him sing something that is very negative or very positive that people hear it and say, "Oh, is this possible?"
Where Sizzla is concerned, Muta, he has a past and he has a present.
What you call the past? The past is the present. What you call the past?
He has the past, the present, and the future.
In the Rasta. Sizzla is a
Rasta
genuine youth. Sizzla is a genuine youth.
as a movement.
Sizzla is a genuine Rasta youth.
And with him being a genuine
Rasta youth, yes.
I would love for us to place more emphasis on the genuine.
Yeah, but
and also be there. So if he makes
there's a certain politics. There's a certain politics that is defining this thing right now, brethren. Believe you me, I just gotta take up the whole of the program, you know. There's a certain politics that is defining this thing, that you can't stay in a Connecticut and define this politics, because you have other ones who it affect deeply, that will never ever see it like how you see it. The minority who see it that way. There's a genuine feeling that Sizzla is a genuine youth, but there is a certain politics that make this thing here have a bitter taste.
And in the bitterness of it all,
yeah,
from bitter comes sweet.
Yeah, you can't say that.
And whatever turmoil that we're facing right now within this particular situation,
I not face no turmoil, you know.
Well, it was
no we, no put we now we, you know. I not face no turmoil, you know, Regine.
Okay.
That means, you know, I'm glad to see that do what him want, do what him say I do, you know. I'm glad to see it. I not fight against what him say I do, you know.
Okay.
I not fight against it after saying I do, you know. But when I hear a one come and say Sizzla is the head of Rasta, and then now I hear Sizzla say Sizzla is the president of an organization, and then round the corner now I hear say it's not really the organization. This is a thing where we are dealing with the totality of Rastafari. I say no, this can't work that way there. It can't work that way there. So meanwhile you say one thing on the top up here, so it don't mean the same thing on the bottom, because you read some declarations that is put out by the president and him associates, where a defunct everything we have before him, which some of them don't have nothing to do with the Nyabinghi house. You see, you make null and void a committee where in a Montego Bay, you make null and void the next committee where it's made up of a whole heap of different Rasta organization, and you also say use the treasurer and the president. Or the treasurer can be the president.
Well, you know, Muta.
Rasta confused, you know. Rasta mix up theocracy with democracy.
You know, Muta.
Yeah.
Direction is needed, and leaders do have counsel.
Yeah, but the council is a council elect him president, you know. It's not him come say him is the president, you know. It's not Sizzla get up one day and say, watch, me are the president for Rasta, you know. It's some man elect him that.
So let me ask you, Muta. When Haile Selassie I, as the emperor of Ethiopia, and is also the minister of education.
That's a different thing. You have prime ministers who's minister of education. Okay. No organization of the president is the treasurer. There's nowhere in the world that you have that. The president is the treasurer. Right? No organization sustain and facilitate such a thing. You have the president who is the minister of defense. You have the president who is the minister of education, and these things. But what I am seeing is that this theocratic house is torn between what is supposed to be democracy and what is supposed to be theocracy. Theocracy is where God rules. But only where God can rule in a theocracy if it's a group of priests come together and decide what God say. And I am hearing that this brethren who is the high priest of the theocratic house, which was elected not only by the ones them who get deposed, but the ones them who is in authority now, made this man the priest of the theocratic house. That means that him is working with a God line, with a Haile Selassie line, and if him said Sizzla is supposed to be the head, Sizzla is supposed to be the head. That is the theocracy. While you have a next group over the other side that said democracy. They must say Sizzla can't be the head unless him is elected by a group, a council. So right away, you know, you have democracy over there, so I have theocracy over there, so. The priest is saying it's theocratic government, so if him said divine, just like where you attack, you have said divine this and divine that. I don't know where to get these things from, A man just come up with something in my mind and say divine, and you're supposed to accept, say, this is divine. That is theocracy. That is like Iran. Now, most ones don't want the thing run that way. Manala quote Ethiopian constitution. Rasta not working off of Ethiopian constitution. I'll never work off of Ethiopian constitution. The Ethiopian constitution is not a theocratic constitution.
So maybe Rasta is now moving, or the Nyabingi is now moving within an order where Sizzla and his leaders or group or delegates will now develop a constitution for the Nyabingi that will be something more valid
than what?
Than what it has presently.
Them not develop not more than what is there already, man. The one man quoting the Ethiopian constitution. The Ethiopian constitution is not a theocratic constitution. It's majestic government. It's not a theocratic government.
Well, Rasta is not ruled under an Ethiopian constitution.
That's what I'm saying to you. It's majestic. But people quote that. Yeah, Rasta who quote that like say it's so him run him, like it's so him want the thing run. Those things is outdated. Whether or not Haile Selassie did create that or not, this is a new Ethiopia, different thing. We can't use that now for govern we, yes or no. We have to develop our own strategy. So what I am saying to you now, theocracy in the divine theocratic house of Rastafari, Sizzla is the president. We are saying now, well, we hope that the youth will carry through what is expected of him from these elders who elect him president. The youth is enthusiastic enough, him have enough youthful exuberance to do certain things. Him obviously can make enough money to do certain things and and he's hoping that others will help also. But in terms of this idea of leadership, Rastafari leadership, right across the board, where we see the underlying thing happen. Because it's not like a man a push the president for the Nyabingi order. He might push the president for Rasta. You understand?
That is not clear, because I know that where the Bobo Shanti stands right now, coming from King Emmanuel, when I sat with King Emmanuel back in the early 90s, King Emmanuel spoke clearly that the woman, now is the time for women in Rasta to be leaders, to be on the forefront.
But as a woman was the leader before Sizzla of the Nyabingi house. It was a woman who Sizzla deposed. Or the group of elders say she's of no relevance again.
I thought she was just a secretary.
She was a secretary. She was a CEO of the Nyabingi house, elected according to how them elect people in the Nyabingi house. It's not a minority elector. And everyone was feeling so proud and nice. And yes, see, that them never know that could have possibly in a Nyabingi house that a woman becomes CEO. And then a group of elders who did agree with it come now and say, look here, we have make that null and void now. It's Sizzla we are work with.
So how long will Sizzla be appointed for? Is this a term of 4 years, 5 years?
You have to go find these people and ask them. I don't know how them run them internal affairs. I don't know how. I have never been to one of those all who's in favor that put up your hand thing. I've never been there. And what time I go to Nyabingi is to beat drums, bonfire, burn room and yam food and cuss room. That is all I go to Nyabingi for. Now,
as a Rasta woman being a leader in Nyabingi, I commend Rasta strongly.
Yeah, well, them depose her. Them make her null and void now. It depend on the bill, it depend on the website, them too. All the names of all the people who is now null and void is on the websites. The resolution that is put out there against the Millennium Council against the what them call the Coral Garden initiatives and all of these people was made null and void by the present president. See, so there's a new thing that is going to happen now. There's a cleaning of the house now, according to what I see. So
I do hope cleaning of the house of the Nyabinghi does not exempt the authority of the women in the movement.
Well, I know. Look here. You see the women them who is part of the new face is the same elders them who was part of that face that elect this female. It's the same women them, you know. It's the same elders them. It's just that now, according to where I hear, you know, Sizzla, you know, fix tile it, put on roof and this and that, you know, when them want some money, give them this and that and that. So that is really right there. Well, it's a political thing.
Where King Emmanuel is...
So you know where I am now? You know where I am now? I can tell you what guy up now. And I don't want to put it on it, but I tell you what guy up now. You're going to have voices that is scared to say what they have to say because of fear of retaliation. That is what going to happen. Because this is what is playing out now. You're going to have people who want to say certain things, but don't want to say it because they're scared of retaliation. Because you have some little youth about the place where come like Taliban, so fundamentalists in them thinking that them don't understand, say, if them take that road, it's the same Babylonian system them going to uphold, where them claim say them a fight against. So now them look upon you as a Rasta now, as an enemy. You know, see, and these youth is not like old-time youth, where we say blood and fire. Them mania, them youth, you know, we do things. You understand? So, that is the next thing where we have to watch.
Where the good in Rasta is concerned, Muta, King Emmanuel lay a order, put down a order, and there is something of King Emmanuel in purification, in righteousness, that any aspect of Rasta that walks in the nature of the Taliban language or the whatever language you use of violence, it still does not stand as a in the movement.
Brethren, all them talk the way you talk, me I talk about something what is real. Me I say to you that the next stage of this, whatsoever we don't want to call it, whatsoever I want to call it, is that ones and ones will be so scared that them going to just shut them out because that is how politics go. Whether you say it's PNP or GLP or whether you say it's Rasta, because there's a certain precedent that has been set over the years, and that if you don't learn by history, you're going to repeat it. And what we're seeing happening now is that apparently you have some Rastas who don't aware that them walking a thin line between Babylon ways and Babylon ways. According to man a lick down Babylon, it's like some people have fight against Babylon hard, you know, yet still them is more Babylon than Babylon themselves. Look how much DJ around the place now. I talk about love, peace and understanding. Yet still, when you look on where them a project on them music and them life, you realize there's some mad youth. And me I say right now, we have to be careful that what we hear happening right now don't reach the stage of normal, dirty Jamaican politics where you hear Rasta fight against over the years, that them don't fall feet, because that is the way of this thing. It's so it go. It do have no other way to go. It's one way it go over the years. There's no reason for feel it to change because the same situation, power.
Well, we are going to say now, Muta, in conclusion, that there's a path that King Emmanuel.
Yeah, but every Rasta don't follow King Emmanuel. Every Rasta don't follow King Emmanuel.
Speaking of Sizzla at this moment.
Sizzla
is a Bobo Shanti that walks and know the righteousness of King Emmanuel.
Yes.
And I'm going to say that in the pathway of King Emmanuel,
Yes.
who have declared that the woman in his movement, and when he spoke of the woman in his movement, there are women today in the movement that, given a chance, given the support, what they will manifest for the movement will benefit all of
Well,
us.
them do have the resources like Sizzla.
King Emmanuel resources is stronger than Sizzla, because through the powers of King Emmanuel, Sizzla have developed.
No, I talk about resources in terms of economics.
Yes, economically speaking,
Yes.
I am knowing that with the organized and the centralized nature of the Bobo Shanti, the resource is there. And the liberty of the movement will attract the resource. It has been
Liberty
there
of which
for
movement
them
you talk about?
of the Bobo Shanti.
But every Rasta is not Bobo Shanti.
But I am speaking specifically of the Bobo Shanti.
But Sizzla is not the head of the Bobo Shanti. He's the president of the Naya
He is
Bingi.
not the head of the Bobo
Yeah.
Shanti.
It's the Naya Bingi house him is the head of.
But he declares himself a Bobo Shanti.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you, I have the confidence that if Sizzla, in the righteousness of his being, where King Emmanuel is concerned, all the criticism that you or anyone have for him, in the righteousness of King Emmanuel within him, he will do what is right. And he will be democratic. He will do this work for the benefit of Rastafari globally. So I would just like to conclude saying, Sizzla, more power unto you as a being, and may you walk in the righteousness of King Emmanuel's voice. Do not forsake the woman in the movement. You have my support, brother. You're strong, you're powerful, and we salute you in the divinity of King Emmanuel.
Let me ask you a question now. A Bobo, a brethren outside, a brethren out there say, oh, I'm not hear you mention nothing about Haile Selassie. In the power, walking in the power of His Majesty.
Rastafari is in the power of Haile Selassie. King Emmanuel is in the power of Haile Selassie the first.
Brethren, all right. All right. Me know what talk to me. Me ask the eye the question. The eye is a Bobo.
Yes, I am a Bobo.
You accept Prince Emmanuel as Christ in the flesh.
I accept King Emmanuel as the manifestation of the Black Christ
in flesh. God Almighty.
In the spirit of the Christ, the Black Christ.
Yes.
I celebrate King Emmanuel as a
Black
Hebrew Israelite.
No. Wait, hold on, man. Don't go about the Hebrew Israelite. Me ask you if you accept Prince Emmanuel as
King
the Black
Emmanuel.
Christ in flesh. Is it that yes or no? You don't have to go through the long protocol. You accept Prince Emmanuel as a Black Christ in flesh.
The Black Christ
in flesh. All right.
Yes.
So, you say Haile Selassie?
I see Haile Selassie the first as the divine manifestation of the Black Christ in flesh.
So Prince Emmanuel and Haile Selassie is one then?
Yes.
Oh, so so that means that the eye is a bubble.
Yes.
All right. Of all my knowing the eye, is the first I hear you say that.
Well, now, in all you know...
all I know is the first I hear you say is a bubble.
I am very thankful
Yes.
that it can
That means
be
that you come with
declared
a revelation now to I. In this night, you have to know, say, you say you're a bubble.
for the first time.
Yes.
It is beautiful that it should be manifest
On
for
the radio.
on
Yeah.
the air.
All right. So the eyes are bubble now. So the Nyabinghi, who is not saying Prince Emmanuel, is the black Christ in flesh. I am not saying that. So I am not a bubble. And the Bingi house is not saying that. So the Bingi house have a fundamental difference between the I. There's a fundamental difference between the I and the core of Rastafari.
And that does not avoid us from communicating and uniting and working for a common cause.
What is the common cause? To declare Emperor Haile Selassie I as the Almighty.
Africa for the Africans.
Emperor Haile Selassie I as the Almighty.
Repatriation.
Emperor Haile Selassie I as the Almighty. Without any apology.
And Bobo Shanti have no apology in that statement.
Okay.
Bobo Shanti have never denied that language of Haile Selassie, the Almighty, in flesh.
Okay.
Bobo Shanti is one in that voice.
All right, brethren. Brethren, me hear you loud and clear. Me hear you loud and clear, brethren.
I give thanks for your patience and for the opening. And we just say, let the glory of Rastafari work continue.
I hope Sizzla will do whatever Sizzla art is directing him to do. I hope he will do it.
He will.
Okay. All right,
confidently.
Give thanks, yeah?
Fine.
Yeah, this is a cutting edge, as we said.